Welcome to It Sunday Live with the Average Joe Sports Show. It's the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. We will make contact with the pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman, as he is exiting SEC country, hopefully with a police escort. How sweet it is, fellas. What a finish. What a win. What a moment. What a stage. What an offering for Nebraska basketball as Coach Hoyberg just finished up with his game day hit earlier this morning with ESPN. And keep on dancing, Sharpie and Elijah. The rail yard scene was incredible. The bar was jumping. I had to go make sure Junior was doing his job of scanning all the fake IDs last night after that win. And then, of course, the scene down in Bricktown with cannonballs in the canal. Husker fans showed out. The team showed out. What a back and forth, man. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, Kurt Gowdy, the infamous and wonderful quote on full display last night. What a mustering by Nebraska to close that thing out, Gary.
Yeah. First of all, good morning to everyone. And what are we all drinking today? Got a little jungle juice here. You know what?
Some of us are out of Tito's, so it's
some of you people are rookies out there. You know, just don't celebrate after the game. You got to keep it going. I don't know if you guys have been outside today in either Lincoln or I've been here in Omaha. There is so much happiness.
Yes.
Like people are happy. And I said this the other day that this run by Nebraska basketball, and remember, we woke up on Thursday morning and they were staring at one of the saddest streaks in all of college sports. Never had won an NCAA tournament game in 8 times. And now they wake up on Sunday morning and they're still alive. They're one of 16. I mean, it's the great thing about March, but there's so many shared experiences. Like, that's the great thing about sports. We always say that sports is the unifier. Like, we can argue about sports, but man, it brings us together. This is what this has done. Again, I heard from people last night in the media business that I haven't heard from in a while. They were like, man, this is so great. And everybody get out today. I know they're having a celebration for the team coming back at 12:20 at the Lincoln Airport. There's just so much happiness. And it's like a relief of the Husker fan that's been through so much, but keeps showing up every day. And people try and mock this fan base about our passion and why we do what we do. We don't need to apologize to anybody. That's what we do. And there's going to be winners and losers. And you know what? Even if that shot by Tanner last night had gone in, we'd wake up this morning. Yeah, it would suck. It would suck like maybe no other loss in the history of Nebraska athletics. But we're going to turn around. We're going to be right back there. And I just think there's so much happiness. And this is what it's supposed to feel like. These kind of experiences that we can share them. You can share them with your kids. You got memories because we have memories, and now you're passing them down. And last night was one of those moments, guys. And I don't want to be caught up in the moment, but I'm going to say this. And I've after going to school in Lincoln in the 90s and following Nebraska and covering Nebraska, there has never been an athletic team, male or female, at Nebraska that is more of an identity of the state in which they reside and a connection than the men's basketball program. Football and volleyball have had incredible runs, but there were some dudes that were Superman on those teams, and we went, wow. And they were unbelievable. This team is so connected, not only internally, but externally, that we can have a day like this, and we can wait until Thursday, and we can talk about this run and this team for so many years to come. I can't tell you enough how much what happiness feels like, what fun feels like, what creating memories feels like. And then, oh, by the way, Nebraska basketball is not a Cinderella. Nebraska basketball is a very good team that finds a way to win. And yesterday, when it could have gone south, once they gave up the lead, they found a way to win. And that's what they've done all year.
And to go shades of Kent Pavelka here with his call after game one, how many times have you sat back and watched and dreamed of having a Husker moment in the one shining moment at the end of March Madness. Well,
Yeah.
Huskers got there last night. Like, you've never experienced anything like that. How many times have you sat on your couch and watched one of those classic March Madness games come down to the wire and sit there and think, man, I wish this was my team? Because you sit there as a neutral and you go, this is exciting. This is the best. I wish it was my team. I mean, last night, Nebraska played in one of, if not the game of the tournament thus far. It was back and forth. It was exciting. Nebraska threw the first punch. Vandy punches back in the second half. Here comes Nebraska. It was 40 minutes of pure excitement last night in that basketball game, down to the buzzer. How that shot rattled out, I don't know. That was, I mean, that's heartbreak for Vandy, but jubilation for Husker fans. That's what it's all about. You finally got your chance to see Nebraska play in one of those games that everyone around the country is talking about and saying, this is madness. Nebraska was in it last night. That was fun.
Hey, too much air. Too much air, by the way, on Tanner's shot. And that's the second time this year he's missed a shot like that.
At Missouri.
He missed a shot in Columbia almost from the same exact spot. But I'm no scientist, and I didn't stay in a Holiday Inn last night. But it was almost like there was too much air. But you guys know this. We all have our favorite teams that we follow. Sometimes during a run and when you are in the midst of a magical season, you have to have things go your way. You have to have an official have a brain fart when he sees Jamarcus Lawrence double dribble, okay? And you get away with that. And ironically, Nebraska wins by 2. There were a lot of things. That's not the number one thing in this game. But sometimes you need those breaks along the way. Sometimes you need those moments where, my God, they're on our side. And for that ball that was halfway down to double bounce out, and be able to survive, put that on the list of things that have happened this year that don't normally happen. And you think about, there's a comparison, and I'm seeing this morning, and it's not new, is Indiana football, what they did. If Indiana football can do it, how come Nebraska basketball can't do it? Well, during the course of the season, you're really good. Indiana football was exceptional. Nebraska's a good team. Is you need some of those things to go your way. So Indiana got the last second touchdown in State College, right? Nebraska last night got rewarded for locking it in at the end of the game, scoring, and then just by chance, that ball doesn't go down. And you need those things. And we talk about them during the course of the season, and you go, okay, got it. On to the next one.
Guys, a lot's been talked about with Nebraska's character, right? How Fred went high character with the talent card when he made this flip. And you saw character last night with, and Sam said it and Rink said it, with having each other's back, right? Those hustle plays, those extra effort plays in winning time when you're under 2 minutes. And I don't know about you fellas, but I'm kind of looking around in my basement with a couple of buddies I'm watching, Iowa Russ and Uncle Andy, like, okay, who's going to score here? It felt really difficult for Nebraska offensively at times, and guys hit tough shots. Vandy got hot. They're a tremendous team. There was no answer for Tanner, but you had the character show through, and it's Nebraska. I looked at the shot chart, and I know the threes were falling for Vandy, but their last several shots in the ball game, most of them were threes. They didn't go inside. And I know, again, they were hitting him, but Vandy settled. Nebraska didn't settle. They made a very conscious effort to get in the paint in the second half, and overall, Nebraska dominated points in the paint. Price's mid-range. And then from a character standpoint, you make the right basketball play. The world was expecting Price to launch that three with 3 seconds, 5 seconds left because he's your dude. Well, what's he do? He finds the redshirt freshman and makes the unselfish play to get it to him to get downhill and finish at the rim, which was just incredible. Everyone chipped in. Bearkay and his Herbie had. Price with 15. Mast was fantastic on the glass. J-Law with 9. Sam with 8. Frager with 15. And it was incredible. We're going to head to
you. Let me give you one. And you guys, as we search for superlatives to describe this team, they're extremely well coached. they were extremely well coached and prepared. Is I think one of the biggest things that we've seen throughout the year, and it really magnified it, Schmidt, you illuminating the end play there, where there were three Vandy guys that collapsed on Sanford. So he's got to get rid of the ball quick. What was the Iowa game 2 weeks ago today?
Mm-hmm.
We made a big thing about Frager being on the bench. Man, he's got issues. Boy, he's wrecking the locker room. Scored the game-winning bucket yesterday. There is so much trust from the coaching staff to the players on the floor to the players on the floor to each other. Because not only are they well coached and well prepared, but Hoyberg, Fred, trusted his team that with 4 minutes and about 14 seconds to go, he was going to do something they haven't done very much this year. They were going to switch to a 1-3-1 zone.
Mm-hmm.
Vandy went 2 for the last 6. Nebraska outscored Vandy 10-5 during that stretch. Prior to that, Vandy was 11 of 19, and you're right. They were draining threes. They hit 13 threes amongst the most they've hit all year. Now, they had a bad percentage because they just kept chucking them. But Fred trusted his team in that moment that they would do something they don't regularly do, but they've worked on, that they would implement it and run it correctly. And then he trusted them at the end. I'm not going to call a timeout. I'm going to not let Vandy set up their defense. We're going to play through this. And then to go to the floor, that Sanford, who everybody in the building knew that he was going to be the guy, he trusted Frager, who can be, but had been more aggressive in attacking last night. He trusted him to give him the basketball in that situation. It's the epitome of what a team is. And I mean, they're good. They're a good team. I don't know. They're, it's almost like they're supposed to be here. Supposed to be playing in the Sweet 16 when you have a season like this and you have a team that's built like this.
Let's head down to Oklahoma City. Waffle House, little coffee, Justice Rhody, Bobby Hessling with KRNU. They had the call. They were courtside. They were next to Kent. Fellas, I heard the final 90 seconds of your fantastic broadcast. Bobby, amazing. Justice, amazing. Have you guys had to blow into a breathalyzer yet? How we feeling this morning, man? I mean, the whole place is still, well, probably groggy now, but it wasn't till about 2 or 3 a.m. with the footage that keeps coming out on social media. Congrats, dudes.
Did you guys shower off after jumping in the canal last night?
You didn't need to worry about that. I said I'm never jumping in the Hudson River. I'm never jumping in the Chicago River, and I'm never jumping in that canal. There was going to be no way that was going to be.
There's Oklahoma City sewer water in that, man. We can't mess around with.
It's been researched by Justice, guys.
The two smartest guys on this show, right there.
That's right. Yeah. What'd you think?
Well, I mean, I had to just go outside and just take a minute this morning, take the slides off, go touch some grass barefoot, and really reconnect and take a moment of gratitude. No, I'm serious here, Sharpie. I had to take a moment of gratitude because in a moment like this where everything can get sped up and you're caught up in the excitement of this, sometimes you just got to sit down and appreciate what a ride it was.
Yep.
Team that's been put together in a moment of resilience. I want to take you guys back to the 8:22 mark of the second half. And me and Bobby on air looked at each other, and I said to him, over this next 8 minutes and 22 seconds, you're about to find out what kind of team you have. They're trailing by 4. You're going to find out what kind of team you have. Is this a team of quitters? Is this a team of guys who, when the rubber meets the road, and there's a little adversity going against them, they're going to fold up and quit? Or are you going to see the team that earlier in the season just buckled up the bootstraps, went from boys to men in a matter of minutes, and managed to figure out solutions on the fly? And you saw the latter. You saw a group of guys who were connected. You saw a group of guys who were united in a mission. And you saw a group of guys that ultimately, when it came down to it, wanted the basketball more and wanted to make winning plays more. And I think that was kind of the difference between what happened with Vanderbilt down the stretch and what happened with Nebraska down the stretch. You had two veteran groups, two very similar groups of guys. In the end, one group really wanted the basketball more over the last 8 minutes, 22 seconds, and that was the guys wearing the cream.
And I'll tell you this as well. At that 8:22 mark, our producer back in Lincoln is in our ear, and it's like, man, these calls have just been horrible. Like the officiating, and we're looking to it's like you can't control that. What is your composure? I mean, Justice said that on air. We said it off air. Was how is that composure going to be? And they prevailed. And I don't remember who mentioned earlier. Sharpie, I don't remember if it was you that mentioned the Indiana-Penn State game from earlier this season. How Indiana could have just felt folded over in that final minute and said, all right, we're going to take our loss. We're fine. Nope. they didn't stop, and they went till the very end. And that's been the case with this Nebraska team at least multiple times. Go back to the Purdue game. They were down by like 23 at one point. They could have folded over and just said, we're done, accepted their fate. They took it in overtime and grabbed their first lead in overtime, and we know how that ended. I mean, they haven't played a game all year where you don't see the fight, and everyone's going to point at a game like UCLA. It's like, oh, I lost by 20. They fought the entire way in that game. It was just incredible. The overall scene, I mean, even on Media Row, I mean, the amount of scenes with whether it's Kent, whether it's the people who are guys like Kevin Suits and Nate Johnson, all of them, it has just been amazing to experience all of it. And him and I both had a moment where, like, we can't thank anyone enough for, especially people in the college like Bill Doleman, for allowing us to come down here and being able to experience this last couple of days. It has just been absolutely magical.
Well, you guys are 2-0, so just keep driving south.
We are actually, I looked this up, all time in Nebraska games, him and I are 6-0 on carrying it. And we had some pretty good ones as well. We go back to the Wisconsin game in 2024 where Nebraska was down 17, fought and found a way and won in overtime. That was the first time we'd ever worked together, and we'd been friends for 2 years up to that point. The Illinois game last season that went into overtime, had that one. Iowa earlier this year, Creighton earlier this year, which is still probably the dominant effort that we've seen on Nebraska, and then Troy followed it up. So I'm assuming that's got to be a KRNU record in terms of at least a minimum of 3 broadcasts apart. That was a perfect record.
Some of us called games during the Stefan Bradford era. So, yes, my record certainly isn't perfect.
Some of us called games during the first 3 years of the Fred Hoyberg era. So, hey, and that is one of the things that makes this so special is you think back to where Fred started with this program. There wasn't even foundation in this program. He had to build the foundation. He had to build the framing. He had to build this house up from the ground level. And to compare year 1, year 2, and year 3 of Fred to where this program is at now, you wouldn't even know it's coached by the same guy. And that's a credit to Fred, the work he has put in behind the scenes. This has been 7 days a week, 365 days a year of him building this thing over 7 years. The title of our show today is How Sweet It Is. How sweet this must be for Fred Hoyberg. From where he started, with the family connections he has to Nebraska, this was at the time he took it over, probably the worst basketball program among all Power Fours in the country. And to take it to a Sweet 16 level program, I'm not sure anyone else in the country could have done what Fred Hoyberg has done with this program.
I mean, I'll say this. That was the guy who came in, and Sharpie pointed out aptly earlier in the week and pointed it out during the Selection Sunday reaction show. That's a guy who came here and was paid to go win in March, and now he's got a group that's going and winning in March. You know, it's an attitude around the group. And listen, people want to talk about the officiating. Personally, I don't give a rip about officiating. I think you got to play through it. This is March. This is winning time basketball. This is big boy basketball. If you're going to go cry about the officials, go pout in your corner and go take your loss like a good boy. You know what men do? Men strap up their bootstraps and they go fight through it. And you know what? Nebraska was taking some body blows, and guess what? We talked about it coming out of halftime. You're going to get the best of the SEC for 10 minutes. They may not be the best team in the SEC, but you're about to get the best the SEC has to offer. And boy, did they came out guns blazing. Vanderbilt came out, they gave you what for offensively. Outscored you by 10 going into the final 4 minutes. But listen, people want to cry. They want to whine and cry about officiating. I'm not having it. I'm so serious. I'm not having it, because at some point you got to take body blows and go be a man. You can't be looking back at the officials for a call. You know what you go do? Put your body on the line. Go put a shoulder in somebody and go make a winning play. And you know what? Down that last 8 minutes and 22 seconds, Nebraska said, all right, screw this. We're going to go make winning plays. And that's exactly the kind of mentality that Fred Hoiberg's instilled in this group. And that's the exact kind of mentality you need to win in March. You can't go whine and cry about anything. Nothing's handed to you in March. You want to go, you go force a win yourself. You go make it happen. So I think that's part of the imprint that Fred Hoiberg's had on this team is he's finally started saying, you know, as a coach, sometimes you just got to say, you know what, I'm going to go grab this thing right by the jugular, and I'm going to go take it and make it mine. And I'm going to go put my imprint on this program. I'm going to take the locus of control on myself, and I'm going to go take the onus, and we're going to build a winner. And they've done that. They've got a group of guys who are a like-minded group that think the exact same way, who want to win when it comes down to winning time. And how about a guy in Braden Frager, who is a guy who, you know, has been a little wishy-washy this year, but boy, he was in attack mode last night, and you saw it. The minute that he had that coast-to-coast transition, once he got it off the rebound, it just blew right past Chandler Bing for a layup. Me and Bobby looked at each other, and he said, he's in that mode today. He was in that mode, and he was one of a number of guys who down the stretch made the right play, made the winning play, and just grew up because Frager could have quit after getting slammed to the floor by A.K. Okereke going to the rim and after getting blocked. He sucked it up, and he went right back at him and said, I'm going to take it to the rack 2 or 3 more times, and we'll see how much you're willing to go hit me. So that's the mentality you have in the group now compared to a couple of years ago where maybe those guys would have taken that and just maybe taken their licks and folded.
Well, they have a high basketball IQ. I mean, Frager, when Sanford got trapped, Frager was hollering to throw, give me the basketball. And, Sanford and these guys, like both of you guys have pointed out, I mean, they're a team. They're epitome of a team. I mean, everybody chips in. You look at the box score last night, everybody had a hand in, what happened last night. But let me ask both of you guys, because, I have a great respect for your talents on air, but you also know the game of basketball. And I said this earlier, and it became a discussion about Nebraska's a Cinderella. You don't win 28 games playing in the Big Ten, and all of a sudden you're a Cinderella. You're a Cinderella if you are plagued by the past and you go, well, Nebraska's never done this before, so every year is a new year. But doesn't it, guys, seem like, and there's winners and losers, and it sucks to be Vanderbilt today, and it would suck to be Nebraska if that shot goes in. But doesn't Nebraska, with the way the season has gone, the way they are built, the way they play with a high basketball IQ on the floor and on the sidelines, doesn't it feel like they're meant to be still playing in the month of March?
Yes, absolutely. Watch how, and we just brought about this up about the Purdue game and their fight. You don't start 20-0 and then once March rolls around, say, we're done. We've seen enough. Now we're fine. That's not what this team is about. That's not what Fred Hoyberg is about. That's not what any of these guys are about. They're all blue-collar guys who come in. They all are here to be built. This is a team that deserves to be playing. There's a team that deserves to be in the Sweet 16 for the effort they showed. Sure, the end of the season wasn't ideal. They fought hard in all those games. They could have pulled over on senior day against Iowa. They were leading the entire way. Iowa hits a 3 to go to overtime. They hit 10 overtime. Okay, we quit. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Season. We'll go to the Big Ten tournament. No, they just kept fighting the entire way.
And I think a great point on that. Listening to Brian Anderson and Jim Jackson call the Michigan game yesterday, Jim Jackson made a great point. At some point, like Michigan was playing with a new freedom within the tournament because sometimes in the Big Ten, after you see teams a couple times or once teams gets a multitude of film on you, it just becomes a bogged down, grind out last stretch of the season. You can't run a lot of your same stuff. Teams are going to top block you. They're going to do different stuff. They're going to ramp up the level of physicality. So in the Big Ten, it ends up being a meat grinder and ends up wearing you down. Nebraska's now in a scenario in the new season in March where they're able to play more free against teams that they haven't seen before, and they're really able to go play their best basketball because the same scouting report's not on them every single night. You're not seeing the same dudes every day. It's like playing in a high school athletic conference. Eventually, guys just get tape on you, and you may know the guys, you may be familiar with them, so they're going to go out of your way, and eventually it just becomes a grind. You're finishing the game in the 40s, right? And that's what they were looking at. But, I mean, with Sharpie, you talked about this team being made for a win in March. It's absolutely true. This is a Cinderella in name only because of who the program is and because of the history of the program. If you were to remove the logo and you were to remove the brand name from this team, you would wonder if they were a perennial power because of the way that they're built, the style of basketball they play, and the resiliency. I mean, they just never freaking quit. And that's the best thing about it, and that's why they embodied the state of Nebraska because no matter what, no matter hard times, no matter whether establishments downtown say we're out of ice, we can't serve you no more, these guys don't freaking quit, just like the fan base that you're
I want to say this real quickly as well, going back to a point Elijah made, saying that Hoyberg has had to build this from the ground up. How about the administration letting him keep this job? He was not Trev Albert's hire, and Albert's restructured the contract. It was like, we'll keep you around, and eventually there was another growth year in that 4th year. And I have a personal relationship with Trev Alberts. I talked to him multiple times last night. After the game, he said he was really happy for Fred to me, and he said he was really happy that I had the opportunity to come down here and do that game. Was really happy for the fans. I know everyone has their opinions on Trev Alberts, but all in all, he was really happy and gave me a big hug after that Nebraska win last night because he could have said, I'm firing Fred Hoiberg. We're starting from the ground up. What are the odds we're here? Does Trev make the right hire? We will never know. And that's kind of the best story about all of this. But he's like, I'm going to give you another year, Fred. And you saw the improvement. And then he had another great year in year 5. And then Trev left, and then there was the first extension, and it's just been magical ever since. So I think you have to give credit to the administration for letting Fred just keep building this thing up, saying, just give me the time. Give me the time.
It's back to your word, Sharpie, trust. And he had Trev trust Fred to make the right changes. Fellas, we'll get you out, but you are incredible, both of you, Justice Rhody, Bobby Hessling. You want Iowa or you want Florida? Move on.
I want whoever wins that game because you want the best. I don't want a slouch. I'll tell you that much. I
don't get a slouch either.
No, we're not ducking competition. I'm going to say that much. I don't think I can put a Woodward saying the same thing. You don't duck competition. If it's Florida, so be it. Give me the 1 seed. Let's go play for an Elite 8 game. If it's Iowa, perfect. Call in the National Guard. Let's put up iron fences around it like an Argentinian soccer match, and let's go to war. I'm so serious. I don't care who it is. And this team is made for March. You got to be made for the moment. So you shouldn't give a rip about who comes out of the other side of the bracket, because guess what? You close the doors, lock it up, lace them up on Thursday. I don't care. You can roll the 96 Bulls out there with this team. You could roll Carver Middle School out. I do not care. Lace them up. This team will come to play. I'm so serious. I don't care who comes out the other side of the bracket.
Hey, one final question for both of you. And I know you guys had the cans on trying to describe what was happening. It's amazing. The only time that building was silent was when Tanner let the ball go. Other than that, it was an electric factory.
Oh, yeah.
What was that silence like?
Before the silence, this stands out to me. You rewatch Frager's layup, and they showed the decibel count on air of 115, which broke the Paycom Center record. So your Oklahoma City Thunder, Justice, I'm sorry, NBA champions and all this. They still have that, but they don't have the loudest number of decibels in that building. The camera was shaking after Frager's layup. You only see that in college football and soccer. You never see that in college basketball. So that explains how loud it is. And then that silence, it felt like that ball was in the air for 5 seconds. And it felt like it was on the rim for another 3 as well. And it was just the patience, the waiting of, is this going to go? Because it looked good the entire way. He let it go, and he thought, okay, this has a chance. And Kevin Suits told me after the game, he said he fired it way too early. He had another second on the clock to get at least a little bit closer. But then are you saying, oh, well, he overshot it, hit the top of the backboard? Maybe him shooting it from that distance is where he wanted to. But that silence was, goodness, it was deafening, and it felt a lot longer than as long as it was at probably a second and a half, closer to about 8 seconds.
That's the ultimate moment of the basketball gods putting 2 fan bases' hearts on the scale and saying, which way is this going to tip? I mean, that is like, at the end of the day, that is the moment of silence. It's hanging up there. Your heart drops. A couple people black out, and you're just sitting there, and you're going, as a Nebraska fan, you're going, dear Lord, please don't go in. As a Vanderbilt fan, one more shot. Please go in. Yeah. Let us keep dancing. That's what March is all about. An incredible game comes down to a moment, and he just misses by a whisker. And you know what? On another day, maybe that goes in, and maybe Nebraska's going home and Vanderbilt advances. But you stay grateful, and in that moment, you can hear the collective just weight of a heartbeat on a scale, and in the end, it tipped Nebraska's favor.
Yeah. The exhale as it missed, like, that putt that goes in, and then, or the putt that lips out. You've heard it in sports before, where it's you almost got the win, and that was that sound last night.
Yeah,
fellas. Good luck, Godspeed, and safe travels back.
No, you're halfway to Houston. Why don't you just stay in Oklahoma City,
6-0,
and then enjoy some time out in Oklahoma City today. That town's going to take a while to recover, and then just stay on 35 and head to Houston.
Sharpie, no offense, I'm trying to get the absolute bleep out of this city. I'm so sick and tired of Oklahoma City. Lovely place. I lived here 13 years of my life. I don't need to spend another darn day here, but we met some Houston people. They were more than willing to accommodate us if we were to come down. My brother's down there in Houston, so we'll see what we can get together. We'll see what we can wring out of the Coach AMC's pockets to maybe help alleviate our
pass the hat, fellas.
Great job, guys.
Love you. Appreciate you both. Good stuff. Bobby Hessling, Justice Rhody, here on the Sunday Live Average Joe Sports Show.
By the way, I don't know what you guys' plans are for Thursday in Houston. Remember, Houston will be playing there against Illinois, and Nebraska plays the winner of Florida, Iowa today. I do not like Iowa's front court against Florida. If you looked at the prices last night for airline fare out of Lincoln and Omaha, they weren't bad. But if you waited, you are in sticker shock this morning. But you can drive it. You can drive it. It's 13 hours?
What it ended up being? I looked last night about the 10-minute mark when it was tied. And I think 383, 475, different flights out of Omaha, Lincoln. And then we're talking 500 one way. You're over a G, aren't you?
Yeah. But you know what? Like, I would stay in Oklahoma City, hang out there for a day. You know what? Recoup, let all the alcohol, get out of your pores, and then get in the car and drive to Houston. I mean, that makes the most sense, right? I mean, 35 is packed coming north today. 81 is going to be like a caravan of Nebraska fans that when you drive by them, you're like, oh man, they look sad. And you're like, no, they're hungover. Okay. That's what hungover happiness looks like. I would just stay in Oklahoma City and go south. Go to Houston.
Their body is fighting the toxins from the canal this morning. That's what it's doing.
That's what it is.
We've never seen this. You hear, like, I remember hearing stories of when Iowa State played Memphis and they drunk Memphis out of Busch Light. And by the way, I don't know, Busch Light is not the most popular drink for Nebraskans. That's bullshit. Okay. We don't drink Busch Light like it's going out of business. That's just like, you know what? Hey, let's stereotype the Nebraska fan. We like all of our beers. We like alcohol. We like GBR. I've never, ever seen in a neutral site NCAA setting a fan base take over a town and an arena like Nebraska fans did. And that's what we do. We don't need to apologize. You can mock us, but let us educate you on what we do, and that's follow Nebraska athletics because you grow up with it. You have a passion for it. You want to be part of that one moment. It's the team did a lap around the court, slapping hands with fans.
They threw the security fence to the wayside and went into the crowd.
I mean, they, and listen, through some football struggles, this fan base is taken a whacking. Okay, people make fun of Nebraska fans. This is our moment. This is our moment to have something like this because I'm telling you, if that shot goes in, I wasn't here. I wasn't following Nebraska. I've only heard stories about the morning after the 83 Orange Bowl. This might have been on that level. Now, not the significance of a national championship, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. This is the moment for everyone, whether you're in a uniform or whether you cheer and you put a corn head on your hat and then your head. I mean, it's again, guys, it's like happiness. This is what it feels like. And there have been so many times where we haven't had this feel. And I think about Kent's call and I think about the correlation. I'm going to give you another Indiana football, Nebraska. Don Fisher is the longtime voice of the Hoosiers. Mm-hmm. He's been doing it forever. He's done basketball and he's had success in basketball. Ken had success in football, remember? The next to last national championship in 95 was called by Kent. Warren Swain had the 97 one. Don Fisher got his football moment. Kent's getting his basketball moment. I think that's pretty cool. In two legendary, loved by their fan bases, announcers that in the sport that is not what their school is known for, they get that moment. How friggin' cool is that?
It's incredible. And you want to talk about emptying your savings account of time served and being there through the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're rewarded. Yeah. And it is absolutely fitting. Texted Coach Smith last night, heard back from him around 2:30 and just elated. And same with a lot of the ex-Huskers or former Huskers, best way to put it, former Huskers that made the trip down or that we've all had contact with, and they're so jacked. But happiness is very real. This basketball team made the right plays. It was the hustle plays that helped them become victorious 74-72. Again, that escort out of SEC country is necessary. The pride of Fairbury, Bill.
I've sent him a link. He's going to join us actually on the stream. We won't have video with Bill, but we will have that pristine audio connection. He says he's got good enough connection, so we're going to try out the stream first.
Okay. And we do need a health update on the full masked man. Wahoo Kurt is alive and well, but has no voice. So part of his party contingent I think they'll check in with us here in about 5 or 10 minutes as they're making their way. I think part of the Boulder Peace Treaty, old Brian Snitley may say hey as well, because we got to check in with our average Joe peeps. But how many times have you guys rewatched, either through social media clips or the game itself last night? I can't put it down. I keep replaying the final 3 minutes.
Well, the play that stood out to me that we're not talking enough about today is that with 90 seconds left, Rink Mast misses a three, and the smallest guy on the floor, Sam Hoyberg, gets to the rim, puts it back in, ties the game at 70. We're all going to look at Frager. That's a game-winning play from Sam Hoyberg as well. And I mean, you can go all the way back. I mean, how many little things matter in that game, in a game that finishes 2 points? How about Fred's challenge? 90 seconds into the game, leading to a beautiful out-of-bounds play where you get 2 points. That looms large in a game that you win by 2. Sam's rebound. I mean, there's so many little things that you can point to and say, that's a game-winning play in a game that ends like that. And also add to this, I'm not sure Nebraska wins that game without the fans. I know we've kind of hit on the fans, and
you're right.
They were huge. They flustered Vandy early. Who was the guy for Vandy that was just ice cold all night? Miles. I think that fan base, it was flustering to him. You don't see him play that bad on the offensive end very much, and he was bad last night. So many things that you point to and say that's why Nebraska won that basketball game. But again, getting back to my point, Sam Hoyberg doing what he does, the little things, getting to the rim and offensive rebound, laying it up and in.
Well, I think, Mighty Mouse and Rink, it's just high basketball IQ. Like, Sam knew where that shot was coming off of, so he was in the right position to get it. I went back just because I wanted to chart this. Vanderbilt was hot in the second half. And Fred wasn't getting out coached. He was just, Nebraska fell into, and Vanderbilt was doing a great job. They were getting the switch that they wanted. They wanted Berkay on Tanner. And those open looks that they missed in the first half, they started to drain those looks. And most of them were wide open because they were switching. And Nebraska was a little tardy on closeouts and on the right switch. But when Berkay got switched off onto Tanner, Vanderbilt was living a good life on that end of the floor. So I went back and I wanted to see when was the first time that Fred threw out the zone. And it was about with 4:20 to go. And it slowed Vanderbilt down. Now they went 2 of 6, but it slowed them down, and it took a little bit for them to adjust. The 1-3-1 is a hard zone to attack. And could Nebraska have gone to it earlier? I would love to ask Fred if he thought about it, maybe when they got into a little bit of foul trouble and Marcus was on the bench with 4 fouls and they kind of had to slow the game. But Vanderbilt was slow to react because they hadn't seen it in the game. But just Nebraska was able to pull that off. So I went back and looked at that. And from that stretch when Fred, and at the end, then he switched out of zone and he went to man at the end of the game. Vanderbilt was 2 of 6. And during that stretch, Nebraska outscored them 10-5. And Nebraska was able to rebound out of that zone. So it's just, they've got high IQ on the sidelines. They got high IQ on the floor. They're a good team. They won 28 games. It should not be a surprise that they are still playing. It's only a surprise if you are caught up in the past. This is a brand new team that we've watched, 34 games of basketball? They're good. They're good. Now, if they play Florida on Thursday, that's a whole different story, but who cares? That's not till Thursday.
Proud of Fairbury, Bill Dolman, the professor, joining us. Bill, did that police escort finally leave you in SEC country, or are you still being escorted? What'd you think last night, man?
Actually, it turns out I was escorting the police for a while, so I had to pull over. But
you pulled a Devaney, okay.
So I can stop and do the show. But he was nice anyway. What'd you guys do last night?
And held my breath for a while.
I think I texted you guys at halftime and said I was exhausted, and then I was effing exhausted after the game. That was quite a show, and I was so proud of Bobby and Justice, and God love Kennedy. He's a friend of all of ours. I'm proud of my guys being in the next generation that did a really professional job last night. And Chris and Elijah, I emailed you their call. I'm not sure many people got a chance to hear it, but Bobby's call of the Frager basket and of the missed shot are total pros. And I'm really proud of those guys and what they've done. I know they said that they were unbeaten together as a team. I don't recall Nebraska losing a JV football game in any game that I called back in my KRNU days. So I'm pretty proud of that unbeaten streak. So maybe you guys can relate to that. It was an amazing deal, and I'm glad they got to be a part of history, Husker history, one of the great games in the NCAA tournament. And look, I was trying to rack my brain through my encyclopedia. I can't remember a college basketball atmosphere ever being like that. And that, given the environment of an NCAA tournament, of a road game with 19,000 people making it a home court. And what was even more special, I guess not more special, but kind of a little caveat, there was no game that followed. Usually when there's a game in the NCAA tournament, it is they whisk you off the floor and they let the next team come back in and you get ready for the next game. It was the last show. So they got to linger. And Husker fans are probably still in the building. And Nebraska's probably still circling and giving high fives. But they got to celebrate for an extra half hour on the floor, which made it even more special. So that was just a storybook night that people will remember in Husker history forever.
It's an all-timer with the way they won, how they won, the grit they showed, and just between the playmaking, the unselfishness, the coaching. I mean, that's why you love sports. It is just awesome, just absolutely awesome. Two teams going back at it, given everything they have, and someone's got to win. Nebraska found a way. That's what's so satisfying because of how likable this team is. The effort, they empty the tank for the fans, for themselves every game, and then for this magic of March that continues, just incredible. I mean, for a second, man, let's spend a moment on Vandy. I mean, that's a hell of a effort they gave. And we're talking an inch away from that three-quarter court heave going down. For them to be down 10 in that environment, shoot as badly as they did, come back, get hot in the second half, kind of take over. But when push came to shove, I think Nebraska just out efforted them, and B, when the whistle started kind of going Nebraska's way with some ticky-tack, touchy stuff, I think that maybe deflated Vanderbilt a little bit. Nebraska was sure pissed about some of the calls that they had against them, but they just kept on grinding. The Grateful Red tour now, Bill, is off on the way down to Houston.
Well, I know Bobby wants to go. He needs to talk to his advisor first.
We all want to go. It's just a matter of fact if we got a money tree planted out back or not. You too can sponsor the Average Joe Sports Show.
And you all got the full Justice Rhody Monty there. On a couple of his responses. That I get that every day, but hopefully those guys are able to go down there and be a part of that. I want to get back to playmaking. We've talked a lot about, Frager in the layup and Samford's unselfishness. If you go back to Vanderbilt's last full possession, not the shot that was missed, but their last possession, Frager's the one who comes over and helps on the baseline that forces, I think Nickel had the ball, and Nickel was dynamite both offensively and defensively. It may not have been Nickel, but Frager comes over and seals off the baseline on a double team and forces that pass, and that shot was off balance. His defense helped trigger that whole sequence, and then he sprints down the court and gets the pass from Price. So go back and watch that last play, because his defense, I think Sam may have also been in that neighborhood. Price might have been, but Frager came over with some help side defense along the baseline that really upset whatever Vanderbilt was wanting to do. And then he goes down and makes the layup. So Frager had a great, 15, 20-second sequence there to wrap up the game.
He had a great game overall. I loved the fact that he was being just so forceful on the inside, taking it to the rim. He wasn't settling for jump shots. The three wasn't really falling for him. So what does he do? He gets to the rim. It's crazy. There's no one else on that team that I would rather have driving to the rim in that moment, considering the game he was having. Fred has talked about the unshakable confidence that Frager has had all year long. You needed a guy with unshakable confidence in that moment, late, a tie game. You're not calling a timeout, to go and take that one to the rim and lay it in. I mean, it's a special and rare trait to have in an 18-year-old, to have the confidence. I mean, to take it to the rim in that moment and say, you know what, it's a team full of great guys. And there's a lot of players in the country that would be trying to find Price or trying to find Hoyberg, guys that, you know, are the leaders of the team. But to have that 19-year-old redshirt freshman take it to the rim and have that confidence in himself to say, this game is on me, I'm going to take it to the rim and I'm going to put it in, that's special. And it speaks to the kind of player that Frager is. You need that guy on your team.
I thought he played, and this is going to sound awkward. I thought he played slow last night, and that was perfect. And it wasn't slow going to the rim. Like Cale Jacobson really struggled last night because Vanderbilt sped him up. So Cale's contributions were neutralized. And I thought with Frager, and we saw this year, when Frager would try and do too much instead of what was given him, he'd get out of sorts and he was chucking up threes, and then he'd get in his head and he wouldn't attack the glass. I thought last night the game slowed down for him. And instead of rushing it, he just played what Vanderbilt was going to give him. And he is, like Elijah said, and we've all said, he's really the only guy on the floor for Nebraska that can start 18 feet away, put the ball on the floor, and beat somebody to the rim. The other part of his game-winning layup is this is the basketball IQ that I think permeates all throughout this roster. He switched hands. That shot was going to be blocked. If he doesn't switch hands, that shot's blocked. And it's 72-72. Vandy maybe gets the rebound, and they're headed back the other way. So it just, like, Nebraska made winning plays when they had to. When the game was potentially going south, when they had led for a while, Vanderbilt gets back in it. Vanderbilt is hitting threes in the second half, and it's the no panic. The head coach doesn't panic. The five on the floor don't panic. And, you know, that's why another of many, many reasons they're still playing.
Bill Dolman is roadside en route away from SEC country. It's the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Elijah Herbel, bowler and umpire extraordinaire, Chris Schmidt. The Sunday Live Average Joe Sports Show is how sweet it is. Nebraska continues dancing, a thriller at the Thunderdome, 74-72. And you nailed that, Gary, with just what Frager brings. And how about the clip that's out there on social media where he goes up to Jamarcus Lawrence right after the layup and kind of chest bumps and
you got to say it. You got to say it.
They can't effing hold me.
No. You got to say it.
It's a weekend.
You got to say it. It's a weekend edition. It's Sunday morning. Hey,
I'm all right.
The Vandy upstairs will understand if you're going to services today. Oh my God. What happens if Nebraska plays on Saturday in Houston to go to the Final Four? Will there be enough churches in Houston to accommodate all the Nebraska fans? I kid. It's okay to say exactly what Frager said.
Well, it's lip reading. I'll have to ask him this week for the specific quote.
Jeez. Disappointed.
Bill, some thoughts, final thoughts, brother, as you're not just stopped in the middle of the interstate, are you? Or did you pull over on the shoulder? I hope.
Yeah, I found a nice little place to stop. There's a Dollar General on every block and every mile marker down here. So, look, people, you're talking about the drive to Houston. I'm making a 15.5-hour drive today. So 12 hours to Houston, which, by the way, sister city to Fairbury, it's an easy drive. I've made that drive many times too. So I would bet there's 10,000 Nebraska fans at the game, at least, because you got Texans. There's a lot of Nebraskans who live down in Texas. There's people who are going to make the drive down. I don't. The University of Houston is going to have a large fan base there. There's no question about that, and they love that team down there. And Kelvin Sampson is the best coach I've ever seen up close working with this team. So they will be juiced to host that Final Four. or that Sweet 16 there, there's going to be 10, 15,000 Nebraska fans. I have no doubt about it. It may not be like it was in Oklahoma City, but to put last night in perspective, and I've been trying to think of all the things that I've seen, in following Nebraska athletics. One game that really will always be at the pinnacle for me, and it's the loss in '84 to Miami in the Orange Bowl. And I know that was so disheartening and disappointing, but it was in that moment that Tom Osborne made a decision that defined not just Nebraska athletics, but defined the state of Nebraska, the character, the integrity, the look people in the eye, and you make a deal with a handshake. That defined the culture of the character of Nebraska. And from that moment on, that defined Nebraska athletics going forward, because everybody thinking, look, this is what the kind of leadership we have with Tom, Fred Hoyberg, and the way he has built this program based on character and culture. Tom's first national championship, I think, is the number 2 moment for me, because he finally won, and the country recognized that. The next national championship was validation for everything, and then sending him out a winner. Those are always going to be the top moments in Nebraska athletic history to me. But what happened last night? Ken Calhoun didn't tip that ball away like he did in the Orange Bowl in '84, the Miami defender. And whatever caused that ball to rim out, that is a top 5 moment of all time for Nebraska athletics and for the state of Nebraska. And I wasn't there when people celebrated on Dodge Street, in 1994, 95. But I have a feeling that last night was the same kind of feeling throughout the state, throughout Lincoln, throughout Omaha, the whole state of Nebraska, just because it's a Sweet 16 and people have waited so long for it. So that is a forever memory for Husker athletics, Husker fans, and for the culture and state of Nebraska.
Yep.
Incredible. Yep. Bill, safe travels, Big Cat. Thanks for taking and making time. Tell your one of your favorite students. You have many students you love. But tell that one guy, Sam, in your class, hell of a job.
Well, I told him I texted him after the game and said, you still have class on Tuesday. Now, if they play Thursday, they might leave Tuesday, and he's going to have another extra credit assignment. He did pretty well with his extra credit assignments the last couple of days. So he's still doing well in the class, although
funny.
That we do a lot of the tip drill work in class. So when he made that putback, that's something that we do work on in 477, and he's gotten really, really good at it. You want to go in for the dunk, but sometimes might slip the rim. You don't want to have happen to Nebraska missing the dunk like happened to that team that was it Utah Valley or somebody missed the NCAA tournament because they missed a dunk.
Yeah.
So Sam played that just like we play that and practice that in class. So nice job, Sam.
That's good. I can imagine this Nerf hoop in the back of broadcasting 477, and one of the team or class projects is annual games of 21 with the little Nerf hoop. The tip drill, just like the driveway. I like it. Billy D, appreciate you, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right. Enjoy it, everybody.
There he is. Pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman.
And now the question becomes, and I think that is an important point. Hey, there's going to be a lot of people patting this basketball team on the back whenever they make it back to campus today.
Oh, 12:20, they're arriving. They don't know what they're getting by inviting fans to come to Lincoln Airport today.
Do you guys ever hit an airport? Like party?
Whoa, hit an airport?
What I meant by that is, as a fan growing up, did you ever go with your family to meet the team returning home? Did you ever do that?
There wasn't much to celebrate for me growing up, personally.
Okay. So 88 Oklahoma for us. We went out to the airport, the Schmidts, the Kleins, the Sitzmans, and it was awesome. There's kids running around. That was Switzer's last game. Nebraska won. They're going to the Orange Bowl, and it had been a while since you won in Norman. And it was just movie 70-fold. Now the one sucks here in Lincoln today, but it's going to be nuts. It's going to be the old bus ride that Danny still smiles and talks about after the Big 8 tournament, right? with the police escort. It's going to be that times 1,000 with those that didn't make their way down to Oklahoma City. Heroes return.
Yeah. Well, you guys, and you know, when Nebraska football, it was so bitterly cold. A couple
Yes,
of the
it
last
was.
times they came back, and they go straight to the Devaney Center and they have a big celebration. I covered both of those. So we landed with the team and then raced to the Devaney Center to do the show. I mean, it's this team. I will tell you this. This is so FGCU, which I was with, made a mistake of they got back to campus in Fort Myers, and there was so many national media on that Monday. There was CNN doing live shots. There was everybody, and guys just kind of leaned into it, and they were making music videos and stuff. And then it's like by Tuesday, you know, okay, we got to go back to practice. Like the one thing I think with Fred's experience in March is they're in the air now. They're going to land here in less than an hour. They'll let them have the day just to guys that behind the scenes, assistant coaches, GAs, analysts, everybody will start breaking down film of Florida and Iowa. And then when that game is decided, they'll go to work. Is you got to regroup real quick because you'll get on the floor tomorrow. And it probably will be more of like a walkthrough of we're going to introduce you to clips of Florida right away. This is what we're looking at. And then you're taking off on Tuesday again because you play on Thursday. So it's a quick turnaround. So this is where experience of making it to the second weekend kind of, you know, you have an idea of how to handle it all because school is back in session tomorrow, right? In Lincoln, or is it spring break?
It's back.
It's back in session because football is back. Football is back. If you're on campus, everybody wants a piece of you, okay? They want to talk to you. They want to slap you on the back. You're going to go to a class, and they're going to go, hey, there's Kendall Blue. You know, I mean, all of those kind of things. So this is where you gotta kind of basically insulate yourself that it's all about basketball. But I hope guys, and I know they do, they're getting to enjoy this, okay? I mean, look at Bear K. Last night, he was a PSA for the Nebraska State Patrol. Did you hear his message?
Yeah, don't drink and drive.
Yeah, don't drink and drive. Okay? That's awesome. That's awesome. You know what? This is, again, go outside the day, enjoy the happiness, because there's a lot of happy people out there. Also, I want to pose this question to you guys, because I have, you know, my Iowa connection. There are Iowa friends who are generally happy for Fred Hoyberg. When was the last time the Nebraska basketball, or Nebraska athletics, I should say, has a head coach which outside of your own fan base is like people are rooting for him? Usually it's like, screw that guy. But like Iowa State fans, they are elated for Fred. Even Iowa fans, even though they don't want to admit it, and they almost tried to kill him back in February, hey, they like Sanford. Good kid, good family. I mean, it's just kind of one of those weird things. What we're all going through is that there are people that are like rooting for a Nebraska athletic team. Usually they're ticked off at the fan base, and they're like, I hope Nebraska dies a slow death.
And I saw this, one of many pictures and moments captured on social media, but it's Price and it's his back on the court, and then it's titled America's Team. Right now, you're going to adopt somebody, whether your bracket's shredded or not, to kind of love and follow and jump on their bandwagon. Nebraska, we said this right before the tournament started, that this is not only a potentially great moment and run for Nebraska, right? If they can put it together, they've done that. They're 2-0. But from the bigger picture standpoint, the launching point for Nebraska basketball. I mean, this is a nice season, and it's been a monster payoff, and it's been a decades-long payoff for sure. But things could really continue to escalate and elevate. I mean, think about, you know, word I'm hearing is you're going to get double the NIL dollars that you've had. You've already secured that. You're going to get up into that $7 million or more range to continue to pick the right portal guys and build this team the right way. So, I mean, it's all coming together. We are going to head back down to our correspondents before we wind down a Sunday Live with the Average Joe Sports Show, the Iron Horse, Gary Sharp, Elijah Herbel, Bill Doleman, Justice Rhody, and Bobby Hessling checked in. Part of the Boulder Peace Treaty, Brian Snitley with us as Northbound 35. Hey, Snitley, good to have you. Dude, thanks for popping in. I got a call last night from Full Mast Man from Wahoo Kurt, and I know he's driving, but he was crowd surfing. He was in the canal. Tell me about your adventures during the game, leading up to the game, and then how did you survive a monster thriller in the Thunderdome?
Yeah, so in the stadium, just electric atmosphere. Got a couple guys next to me were just Thunder fans there just to watch it. They just wanted to see good basketball. And midway through the game, they're like, well, I'd tell you to come down to a Thunder playoff game, but you would not be impressed after this atmosphere. This is better than Game 7 is what he said.
Wow.
It was insane. And then at the end, it was like lump in the throat, super quiet, and then straight pandemonium. It was insane. Hugging strangers. Jeff hugging an usher as he's walking out like a 75-year-old lady. It was nuts. Walk out of the stadium, see a couple guys that we know. We go talk to them, and another random walks out of the stadium with a tall boy Miller Lite, hands it to Jeff. They both start slamming beers. It was insane.
Strangers handing strangers beers. The joy of Nebraska basketball. I love it.
Then there was just a red wave that walks across the street to the Omni Hotel bar, and tip of the cap to the like 4 or 5 bartenders there. They were probably the most. They were working their tails off. They were probably the most on their feet bartenders of the weekend, and they made sure everyone had cold drinks in a timely fashion. And then Chris Webber, Andy Katz, and the crew walked in and yelling "Go Big Red," having selfies with the fans. It was insane. And then we had the legendary Justice Rhody walk in, and more of the same.
I love it.
So
that is so good. So no canal diving for anybody in the party.
Yeah, the after party. We didn't make it down to the canals afterwards. There's a few of us in too rough a shape for that we had to take care of. A couple that were down there said the Tipsy Tiki, which was overloaded with Husker fans all weekend, they said they closed down like at 11 because either A, they were out of alcohol, or B, just done dealing with Husker fans. So it was definitely one of those weekends. It was insane.
Now, will you be making the trip down to Houston next weekend? That's the question to me, is how many of these fans that were in Oklahoma City say, you know what, that was magical. I'm going to Houston and we'll do it all again next week.
It's being discussed. If I was smart, I would have just brought my work computer with me and we would have just stayed in OKC and drove down from here, but that did not happen.
Hey, wait, jobs are temporary. March Madness is forever. That's what I'll say to you.
Yeah.
I think it goes the other way, but good spin, Elijah.
Hey, Elijah, you should have told me that 2 months ago.
One thing I did want to touch on that Sharpie and Justice both touched on earlier. Hats off to Fred and the leaders in the locker room. To like a week ago, we were all like, "Where's Frager's head at after the Iowa game?" And then for him, Thursday, Hoyberg tells him just keep shooting. And he's chucking up threes, and then last night just clutch all game long, just difference maker.
He was great. Everybody chipped in and did an amazing job. It was a team effort. The response, the hustle,
Burke setting the tone from a physicality standpoint. That was
he hit a couple of threes, and Fred gave him a little guff about it in the locker room. Hey, you hit 2 threes, but it was just it was all hands on deck, man, and they did it, and it was just absolute drama from that 10:55 mark in the second half when they tied it. Let me ask you, Brian Snitley, part of the Boulder Peace Treaty, Northbound 35, joining us here at the Sunday Live Average Joe Sports Show. How is your level of faith with
a Sunday,
whether or not they were going to pull it out?
Strikes me as a Protestant.
I mean, 700 Husker fans went to Catholic Mass at 4 p.m. So, and I mean, including a couple from our group. So felt pretty good.
Was that for Nebraska, or was that for what happened Friday night?
A little bit of both. So yeah, Friday night was rough in the old Verbo. So,
dudes, safe travels back. You're awesome for checking in with us, and the invitation's there to be the Houston correspondent if you want.
It's up in the air, but we'll see if we can make things happen. So
nice,
fellas. Be safe. Good travels. Appreciate y'all.
Hey, I was just thinking about something. If that Tanner shot goes in, would he have been on the same level of Jeff Larish from Arizona State? Remember that in the College World Series in 05?
I think if he hits that shot last night, it is just right there behind Leitner's win against Kentucky. From a how the hell did they pull that off?
Well, it would have been Kevin White
or Bryce Drew's Valpo shot too.
How about this? So Kevin White, who used to work at the World Herald, is now at Council Bluffs St. Albert. He was in the building when Hayward, a Butler, missed the shot.
Yeah.
He was at the game last night. How about that? Yeah. How about that?
We'll take him to Houston.
Hey, because you guys have plenty of time all week to break down the game, and Iowa's going to need an extreme effort today. I
don't.
I think their front court gets strangled by Florida. But stranger things have happened. This is March Madness.
Well, they would probably need Sturts to go off for damn near 40.
Yeah, I mean he's going to have to. He's going to have to play great. But can we bring up a couple of things now that we're almost through the first full weekend? And it's good today that you can pace yourself because we only have 2 games before 4:00. The last game tonight is 8:45 tip-off. So it's that because of TV, it's that weird schedule on Saturday and Sunday where they got a bunch of games at the beginning, or very few games at the beginning. They stretch them out. CBS gets like the first 3 or first 2, and then they start, comboing games. Let's talk about the commercials because we've watched a lot of basketball over 3 days. Sorry, Miss Jackson, that commercial needs to be shot to the moon. And then I also want to say one other thing that I might be old, but I think I'm in tune with podcasters and comedians. Are you guys surprised that more people don't know who Hannah Berner is?
She's the one that's wearing the Wisconsin jersey in that.
Yes,
right?
But a lot of people have no idea who she is. I thought she was pretty well known.
I had the look of she looks familiar, but I can't place it from where. Now that you say the name, I go, oh yeah, I know that name. It was one of the I saw her face wearing the Wisconsin jersey, and I went, she looks familiar. Generally, that's about it.
So she played soccer at Wisconsin. I know her as a comedian, but I know that she has been on some show on Bravo. Schmidt, you watch that, you'd know.
I do not watch Bravo. The bunny watches.
And then
Bravo.
she is she used to be on with Call Her Daddy on the podcast, and now she's on like the Giggly Squad. But I was like, in a group text with friends, they're like, okay, this is aired for the 4,000th time this weekend. Who in the hell is this girl? And I'm like, that's Hannah Berner. So I don't know, man. I got some street cred here, or I'm a very lonely person.
You're well versed.
Yeah.
But the stream chat is a pretty universal. Who?
I don't know. I'm just a pop culture guy.
Yeah,
okay,
I like it.
I'm not all price and and all that kind of stuff. I like to go back and forth.
Fellas, enjoy the madness. I believe we'll probably be down at the Single Barrel for a little spring game preview, but plenty of hoops to discuss all week long. We invite you to like and subscribe to the Average Joe Sports Show YouTube 7 days a week, Monday through Friday at 4 on YouTube and the radio affiliates with the Average Joe Network, and can also watch and find us on YouTube. Yes, but also Twitter, AJ Sports Radio. Give that a follow. Elijah, tell them about the merch.
You can find it. The Average Joe Sports Show fourth wall is where you go find that. You can Google that up. You can find it in the bios. I think all of our social media channels. Go get yourself some merch. Great way to celebrate Nebraska going to the Sweet 16s with some Average Joe merch. And I should note here, let's quickly take a look at the ESPN Tournament Challenge. As the winner of that one is going to be getting some
Average Joe Bracket Challenge. Yes.
Yeah, that is Eastbound and Down is now currently in first. They rank 3,000th in the country out of however many million people filled out a bracket. They are in the 99.9th percentile. Their bracket is spectacular. I think they've only missed 2 games thus far, which is ridiculous. So Eastbound and Down, currently in first. Not far behind, though, with a ranking in the country of 61,000th is B. Joe. So those are our top 2 brackets as it stands right now. Those 2 are battling it out, but there's still a lot of basketball left to be played in this tournament.
I took a hit yesterday with Vandy losing. So I went from 8th to probably 800th. So, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Sharpie, how are you faring, my friend?
Not bad. I thought Friday would be a day where double-figure seeds would be okay. But I think I'm going to be okay for the Sweet 16. I think I have Nebraska in the Sweet 16.
Okay.
Good I've also done much better since yesterday. I am in the 88th percentile of America right now. So yesterday really helped me out. I had a decent day yesterday, and I still have a ton of points remaining. None of my teams that I've picked to go deep in the tournament have lost thus far. So I'm doing well there.
Hey, by the way, another thing about yesterday, if you have a friend that suffers from anxiety, check on them.
Oh, man. You need calm nerves. I was standing the last 5 minutes in the basement.
Were you pacing and clapping?
I was just standing.
That's what people do.
And the dogs were kind of turned and said, "What's wrong with Dad?" Iowa Russ was there. We were going to pin the loss on Uncle Andy because Uncle Andy was very superstitious. You got to kind of we were going to watch out back on the patio in the second half, but Nebraska was ahead at half. So we said, we're going to just keep drinking vodka and going in the basement and watch the game that way. But Uncle Andy got called away, so he had to take off. And it was me and Iowa Russ were watching. And as things transpired, they're like, Mo was wearing black and gold. And then for Nebraska to get some stops, hit some shots, get to the free throw line, stop Vandy from getting to the free throw line. I was a little nervous for Nebraska because Vandy was in the bonus with 10 minutes left. But again, offensive rebounds weren't in Nebraska's favor. Vandy was doing really well. They at one point were up 11-3 in that statistic. Nebraska flipped it around, got better on the boards, hit some shots. Frager's 3 was key to bring it within a 1-point ball game. And then Nebraska just had answers. Fellas, they had answers all game long.
That's what they've done all year.
I know when Vandy got close, Nebraska would answer. Vandy took the lead. Nebraska fought back. It was awesome.
Hey, let me read this text. Let me read this text because we all have. This is the great thing about sports. In a moment like last night, we'll have memories of where we are, where we were watching the game when that shot happened. One of our listeners just texted me, and he said, "Doing a favor for my wife. She's a big Hardy fan. He was in concert last night in Omaha. Thank God they did not take the phones away from the patrons. And when Frager's shot went in, it was really awkward. It wasn't during he said it wasn't during a song, but it was in the middle of the concert that the place erupted." and he said, "If you knew, you knew."
That's so good. That's so good. I love it. Sharpie, have a great week, brother. We'll get caught up. Thanks so much for hanging out with the Average Joes, the Iron Horse, Elijah Herbel, Chris Schmidt. Talk to you next time with the Average Joe Sports Show.